Welcome back to the dojo, everybody. This is TruTalk with TruMotion, where a couple of guys talk about how to make the world a better place and hopefully make your day a little bit better in the process. My name is Mark, followed by my co-host Stephen.
Good morning.
Let's get things going. So first off, we always like to do our weekly recap, but yeah, Stephen, how's your week been?
My week's been fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been working a lot of things, setting up my schedules going forward. I'm about to take some time off and just leave the country.
Yeah, you're going
in a few weeks, in a month, really. But
about a month, yeah.
Yeah, but by the time they hear this, I'll be out.
You'll be out of country.
Out of country.
There you go.
So that is interesting because I'm feeling really productive. I sold 2 more dogs this week.
Okay.
And yeah, things are moving.
Only got 2 left for those people out there that are interested.
Yep.
So, but again, by the time you're listening to this, they'll be gone too.
Yep.
So, but nice, yeah. So feel like you've had a productive week, and that's always a good sign. So, yeah. I feel like my week's been pretty good as well, coming out of the holiday weekend, and yeah, I mean, it was our power went out on Tuesday for a few hours. That was fun.
You had to go save the day.
Yeah. Lights go out, and then nobody knows what to do. And then lights go out, and then my wife gets a hankering to clean. So
that's important.
Some odd stuff, but yeah, it's been a good week. I've been chatting with Shanna's cousin, or not cousin, nephew. His name's Khalil. He's been dealing with, unfortunately, a lot of health issues. And actually, I talked to him on the way home yesterday, and it looks like he's in the process of getting his new kidney. So
good.
He applied for. He sent out his the applications to several different hospitals, and he had a consultation with one in Dallas last week, and he heard back from them yesterday. Mm-hmm. Now, they didn't say yes, but the verbiage says it's a go because they said we're proceeding forward, and they've already reviewed his case. So when they use terms like that, then it's like, and they're having him fly out next Thursday for more labs. I see. It's like, okay, when you're using terms like that, it sounds like he's good to go for the transplant. Mm-hmm. And he's not going to be waiting for a donor transplant. He's going to be waiting for, or he'll be doing like, either his wife or his mom's going to donate one of their kidneys to him. So
wow, okay.
Yeah, not only does he need a new kidney, but he also needs a new pancreas too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like he's been struggling lately, and he's super young too, which is it's very, very sad. So been trying to stay in contact with him and keep his spirits up because.
You listen to the show?
Yeah, I don't know. I should tell him I should tell him to listen to the show. Right now he's in the hospital. So yeah, he's got some free time.
Yep.
But yeah, just trying to, anybody out there that's dealt with any kind of chronic illness knows that it's not only is it a battle physically, but it's more so a battle mentally. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely trying to keep his hopes up, keep his spirits out, high and alive. And, again, if you've never dealt with chronic pain and illness, it's hard to understand what people are truly going through. I'm not advocating for like people, taking their own lives. Like I'm very adamantly against that. Yeah. But at the same time, I sort of understand when you're in so much pain that you just want it to go away and you feel like that's the only option. That's a very sad place to be, but a lot of people have been there. Mm-hmm. And not only is it physically it hurts, but it's the mental trauma that gives up first. Mm-hmm. So if you know anybody that's dealing with any sort of chronic pain or illness, be sympathetic to them. Like, don't say, I know what you're going through, because you don't. No. You really don't. You may know what pain feels like, but you don't know what their pain feels like. So just be sympathetic with them. Tell them that you love them. Be there for them. Let them be there for a shoulder to cry on or someone to just unload on for a second. So that's my little PSA. Khalil, get better, buddy. We're thinking about you. We're praying for you. And yeah, and that was awesome news that looks like things are moving in the right direction for him. So good news. But yeah, that's been kind of the week so far. So next week I will be out of the state. I'm going to Philly to watch the Eagles play Monday Night Football, so that'll be fun. So you'll have a different co-host next week.
Yeah. It'll be another episode.
Another episode, but not with me.
Another unique episode.
Yeah. Do you have you don't have to tell anybody. Leave it a surprise. But have you got any ideas?
Going to be a mystery guest.
Yeah. Have any ideas on who you're thinking of?
The people that I've talked to are tentatively.
It's funny when you ask people like, "Hey, you want to be on the
solid
podcast?"
Perhaps.
They're like, "Oh, I don't know.
What are we going to talk about?"
Yeah, it's wild how people are like, "Oh, we love podcasts," and we're like, "Hey, you want to be on one?"
Our
like,
guests are like that, and then when they get on, they're
like, "That was the funnest thing
it's like
ever."
we go for 3 hours.
Yeah. So, hey, if anybody asks you to be on the podcast, say yes. It's a lot of fun. Okay. Maybe if it's not our podcast, someone else's podcast, just getting on and talking.
Yep.
You think it's going to be hard?
It's not.
It's not. It's really not. But so yeah, that next week I'll be in Philadelphia, so we'll have a special co-host, but it should be a lot of fun.
That's a good announcement.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. But the Eagles play tonight, so I'm super stoked about that.
Friday night?
Yeah, they're playing in Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
interesting.
First South American football game ever played. So
I feel like they play a lot of non-American football.
Yeah, they like to play the like, football, not football. American football. Yeah, that's the only kind of football.
There's no red cards in here,
no.
But there's yellow flags.
Well, I would say there's no flopping, but I did watch the game last night, and Mahomes did take a big flop out of bounds. Yeah, he's like running, and the dude touches him, and he like falls all over the ground trying to get a flag. I'm like,
Mahomes, come on.
Like, dude, come on, Mahomes. Mahomie. All right, but moving on with the show, here's a word from our sponsor.
In the heart of the majestic Utah wilderness, where snow-kissed landscapes meet the rugged beauty of the high desert, you'll find SHS, a trusted voice partner. With a voice as deep and rich as the roots of our Western heritage, SHS is more than a company. We're the voice your project deserves. Whether it's a commercial, narration, or anything else you need, the deep American male voice of SHS adds authenticity and warmth. Let SHS be the voice you need, echoing through the vastness of your imagination. Your project, our passion. Together, we'll resonate. Contact SHS today and let our deep American male voice elevate your message. Because in the world of sound, we're not just any voice, we're SHS, your voice partner of Utah.
Thank you, sponsor. And moving on to the next segment is the top 5. All right, this week's top 5 is an interesting one. I like it. I thought it was fun. I noticed that there's far more than I thought there were. When I started really looking at it. I'm like, holy crap. It's top 5 movie cars.
Top 5 movie cars.
When I say movie cars, like cars that in their own right kind of are a
iconic
character in the show, even though they don't have any lines and they don't do anything, but like you see that car.
Some cars do have lines.
Yeah, some cars do have lines, aka Knight Rider. But like you see that car and you're like, oh, that's from that movie. Okay. So who do you got for your top? I'm pretty sure you got some honorable mentions too.
I have a few. I'm not a car guy.
Yeah.
I liked Hot Wheels as a child, but I didn't care what the brand of the car was.
Yeah.
I'm like, does it go faster than the other cars that I'm racing against?
Yeah. You're like, I just want to go fast. Like Ricky Bobby, I want to go fast. I want to go fast.
So my cars are going to be unique. I've seen a lot of car movies.
Yeah.
Or movies with cars in them. I've seen the movie Cars. But I'm not going to pick any from there.
I did. I picked one.
You picked one?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. That's cool. So my movie cars, obviously, the DeLorean, DMC-12, Back to the Future, and subsequent movies.
Okay.
That's a good one. Then I've got the Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger, James Bond. That's a really good one. The Batmobile from Batman. That's custom built.
Yep.
I like the Tumbler better, honest opinion. I
Really?
like the Tumbler.
You like the tank?
I like the tank.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a car, but it'll be an honorable mention.
Well, it's got 4 wheels.
It's got 4. That makes it much difficult because now you could pick like things. There's a lot of more things with 4 wheels that are maybe not cars.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. Okay. And then going back to some older movies, the Ferrari 250 GT from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
I saw that one. I was like, oh, God, that was a good one.
That's the one where he tries to take the miles off by reversing it.
Yeah, going in reverse.
Does it work?
Nope. And then all of a sudden
I didn't have to try that myself because I watched the movie.
Oh, what's his friend's name? When
Cameron.
I sang the song when Cameron was in Egypt's land.
Yep.
And then he kicks the car and then it
crashes out the window. Yep. That's
such a good movie.
Yep. Let's see. Then I'm going to go to an older movie called The Great Race.
Okay.
There's 2 custom cars.
Really?
One's called the Leslie Special.
Okay.
And it's a global race, right? So they're racing from I forget, but it's like you have to go around the world.
Okay.
And there's 2 cars, and there's the good guy car, which is called the Leslie Special, and then there's the villain's car, which is called the Hannibal Twin 8s. Now the Hannibal Twin 8s has 6 wheels, but it has like weapons and stuff on it too.
Awesome.
Even better. It was a super cool movie. I watched it a bunch as a kid.
The Great Race.
Yep.
I should check that out. I have not seen that.
It's a really funny, good movie.
Awesome.
It's what happens when you don't have cable as a child. You get like library movies.
There you go.
And then another one is Herbie from The Love Bug.
Herbie, yep. You got to get the bug in there.
Yeah, that was as a child, that was the funniest movie. That was
It's a pretty classic car.
You got to see
movie
wrecks,
car.
you got to see races, you got to see is this the end of Herbie?
Is it alive?
Is it alive? And then I think that's it. I think that's my list.
Nice. Very strong list. Nicely done. My honorable mentions are the DeLorean, Lightning McQueen.
Okay, good.
And the A-Team van.
The A-Team van.
Yes,
okay.
the van from A-Team.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then I've got the Aston Martin Vanquish.
The Vanquish, okay.
It's from the new Casino Royale.
That's right.
Not the original. The 1950 Mercury from Cobra. Have you ever seen the movie Cobra? With Sylvester Stallone. It's an 80s
Maybe
movie.
I have. I don't remember.
He drives a 1950 Mercury that's chopped. So the hood's it's got those like really thin windows and it's a hot rod. It's
You're
super
using terms
cool.
I'm not familiar with. So.
Yeah, so chop means it's like you take your windows and your roof and you lower it.
Whoa.
So for example, if your window's like normally 12 inches high, now it's 8 inches high.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes it look more streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pull up some pictures and show you. You'll be like, oh, those are cool.
Okay.
I got the Batmobile also, just Batmobile in general.
Batmobile in general. Not,
Yeah.
No particular
I was pretty
kind.
partial to the Tim Burton Batmobile because that's
Okay.
what I kind of grew up with. But, obviously the Adam West Batmobile is pretty iconic.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really like any of the crazy Joel Schumacher Batman and Robin and Batman Forever Batmobiles where they got neon and...
You don't like that? You need
Or the fin is 10 feet high.
Oh, yeah.
So
the one that'll get clipped if you go through the drive-thru.
Exactly. Those are just weird, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The 1968 Mustang Fastback from Bullet.
Yep.
I really like that. And then obviously Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh,
I'm a Mustang fan, so I really like Mustangs.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Eleanor's got to be right up there near the top. And
Nice.
man, there was a ton when I was reading through it, just a ton of movie cars. Neither one of us mentioned that's on everybody's top list is the General Lee from the Dukes of Hazzard.
General Lee.
So, I mean, I was never a Dukes of Hazzard fan, so it's I was I never grew up with that, so it's okay. I mean, it's cool, but I probably wouldn't own one.
Mm-hmm.
Then, you got all the cars from, the Fast and the Furious.
So many cars there. Yeah.
So many cars in there.
There's some iconic ones.
Yeah, like the Charger, and,
the GT.
the GT, the Skyline, the Supra.
The Supra.
Supra was pretty cool. What else was there? Obviously got Magnum PI's Ferrari.
We can look at Transformers too.
Yeah,
We've got Bumblebee. The new one, Mirage, was a good one.
Yep, the Porsche.
Porsche.
Yeah. What else? What are some other good movie cars out there?
There's Green Hornet,
Yep,
Black
the Green Hornet.
Black Beauty.
Yeah, that's what it's called, the Black Beauty. That's a good one.
Chevrolet, I think. Chrysler, maybe.
Lincoln Continental.
Lincoln. Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, you've got like the Mystery Mobile from Scooby-Doo. You've got the Smokey and the Bandit.
Mm-hmm.
The Trans Am. You got Kit from Knight Rider.
Obviously.
Yeah.
The one that talks.
Yep.
Yep.
So you got a whole bunch of cool cars, but these are my favorite. I like cars. I think they're neat. I think they're fun. Yeah, so let us know what your top 5 movie cars would be if our cut makes the muster, or if you got one that's completely different.
Yep.
But at least none of us put like Wonder Woman's invisible jet, but that's not a car.
That's not a car. That's a jet. That's for another top 5.
That's another top 5.
Top 5 movie jets.
Airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
We should probably do top 5 like military planes or something like that.
Maybe.
That'd be pretty cool. My grandpa flew a couple of different ones when he was in the Air Force. So
okay.
Yeah. But let us know what you think in the comments down below, and if you like our list, don't like our list, or if you want to add to the list. So that's a lot of fun. Moving on to the next portion of the show is the Ask a Sensei. All right, this week's questions are pretty good. Some of them are real thought-provoking. Some of them are just kind of fun. But question number 1 is, how do you deal with or help somebody with anxiety? Because we got a lot of students that come here because they have anxiety. Okay. Now, personally, I do believe that it is a thing. It does exist. Everybody feels anxious. But I think clinically, people are being overdiagnosed with anxiety. In my personal opinion.
Okay.
In my personal opinion. That might cause some controversy. I don't know. But I think people are quick to throw that label on something when people struggle with something. Okay. Do people have anxiety? Yes. Everybody has some form of anxiety. But are people clinically diagnosed with anxiety where they have to be on medication? Very few people. Now, do I think those people exist? Yeah, we have one of them as a student. But she does very, very well with coping and dealing, but she does take medication. And sometimes it gets the best of her. Okay? So that's why I understand, and I know that there is such a thing as clinical anxiety.
Right.
And some people do need medication for it.
It's like a lot of people, yeah. I agree with that hot take of yours.
But I think people are quick to throw that label.
Yes.
Oh, I have anxiety.
Yep.
So it's an excuse for them not to do something.
Yep. I agree with that.
Okay. Because we've seen a lot of things. You've been in corporate America. I've been teaching a lot. Some people just use that excuse of like, oh, I can't do it. I have anxiety. Just because they didn't want to do it or they haven't done it. Okay. Now, do people become anxious? Absolutely.
Anxious.
I become anxious too.
Anxious is a natural thing.
Yes. But most people become anxious when they put something off. Like, haven't you noticed that?
Yep.
Like, that's when I become anxious.
Yep.
Like, when I have a task and it's like something I don't want to do and I put it off, it gets worse the longer I put it off. So my personal opinion on if I'm anxious, like if I'm dealing with me and I'm dealing with something that causes me some sort of anxiety, the best thing to do is do it. And it sounds weird and stupid and blunt, but it's like, let's say water makes you anxious.
What?
Well, jump in the water.
Jump in the water.
Get in the pool. Okay. If going to the store makes you anxious, well, find somebody to go to the store with you. Okay. So if something causes you to be anxious or causes you anxiety, you have to confront it. It's like a bully. You have to confront it head on, or it'll continue to eat away at you. Okay. Now, dealing with somebody else with anxiety, the best thing to do is encourage them to do it. Tell them that it's safe. Make them feel safe about doing it. So, like, let's take karate. You know, a lot of people feel anxious about doing karate. Total natural reaction, totally understand. So when I'm dealing with somebody that's anxious about the dojo, you talk to them calmly, just make them feel safe, walk them through with it, do it with them. So if somebody feels anxious about something in the dojo, you do it with them. You reassure them. Take your time. There's no hurry, no rush, but eventually you do have to get out there and do it.
Right.
Okay. And parents out there, I know this is hard for you to do sometimes, but when your kids are anxious, leave them alone. If they're anxious about going in somewhere, drop them off and leave them. Okay. Obviously, only do that with places you feel comfortable with.
Right.
Like, obviously, don't just go to the street corner and be like, you're anxious, deal with it, walk home.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. No, but if you're taken into a place that you've signed them up for, like whether it be swimming
or karate
or a sports league,
school,
you've obviously sent them there because you trust the people dealing with your child. Let them deal with your child. Okay. The worst thing you can do is be present, because then they have that safety net to run back to.
Yep.
Okay. And they don't need the safety net because there's no danger. Okay. Now, if you're doing something a little bit more dangerous, yeah, you should be present. Like, if you're going hiking, be like, if the woods give you anxiety, don't just put them on the trail and be like, see you at the end.
See you at the top, kid.
No, walk with them, be with them, you know, all that stuff. But when you're bringing them into a place that has supervision, you trust the people that are there, drop them off, leave them. As much as they may cry and scream and yell and just carry on, they will be fine. They will be okay. I've had parents both ways. I've had parents that will never leave, and then I've had parents that will drag the kid in, kicking and screaming, literally hand them off to me and leave while the kid's kicking and screaming.
Yep.
And that's totally fine too, because the second the mom leaves, the kid kicks and screams for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then he stops.
Yep.
And it's funny because it's like, you would think that we're sending these kids like off to the death penalty. They're like holding on to the corner of the wall, like don't let me in. It's blah, 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 blah. And they're like screaming and crying and hollering. And then the second that they break free and they get in the dojo, and you're like, hey, come on, it's all right. And you reassure them,
they're calm.
it goes away. It goes away. So, but how do you feel like is the best for you dealing with anxiety?
Oh, man.
Or dealing with people with anxiety?
It helps if you've already kind of been on that path that they're anxious to go on. Then you can help them through it, right?
Yeah,
like you said, encourage them. Don't do it for them. They have to still do it themselves. But But if you have the experience, then you can make it easier for them. I think I might. I've sort of thought about the two big ones, right? Anxiety and depression, right? Anxiety is fear of something in front of you.
Yeah.
Depression is
looking behind you.
Yeah. And so when someone has anxiety like that, and I think I've just had a lot of experience with puppies. Like, puppies will whine, and they're going to be like, I don't want to do this, in their own way. But once they get in the cage, they calm down. They kind of like, oh, I'm here, I'm fine. I'm fine. So it's really like you have to give them that enough of a push, enough of an encouragement to get them to do something, and then they forget about it.
Yeah.
I think what you said with parents is also very important. Like, as someone who maybe has already walked the path and you're helping a newer student through, you can't do it entirely for them. You can't be there like, oh, I quit. They're like, I don't want to go any further. Yeah. But you have to also say, like, yeah, you got to finish this. Yeah. You have to go further. So if someone whines and you answer their whine, all you're doing is reinforcing every time they whine, they get what they want.
Or they get attention.
Yeah. Then they're gonna whine more.
Yeah. No, it's extremely true. Like, you and I both have talked about the correlation between teaching students and teaching your dogs, which We're not comparing the two.
No, this is the second week we're not comparing them.
But there's very similar things that happen
Mm-hmm.
with it. Like when you say that, if the dog starts whining and then you go cater to it, then that reinforces with your dog. Be like, okay, if I want his attention, I whine.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the students. It's funny. And I know I've done this, and I think you've done it as well. Like when you're teaching class and it's just kind of rowdy, and then you see one person sitting still in front position and you highlight and praise that person,
Yeah.
everybody else calms down. Why? Because they're like, okay, in order to get Sensei's attention, I need to sit quietly and be still. But if you're constantly highlighting the kids that are running amok,
Yeah.
then you're telling the rest of the class, if you want Sensei's attention, you got to run amok.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild how fast it changes to where it could be like, man, these kids are like a bunch of wild animals in here. Like, who let them in? Then you're like highlighting one person, or it'd be like, Johnny, hey, that is awesome front position, dude. You're a rock star. And you high five him and you kind of go over the top with the praise. All of a sudden, the next thing you know, everybody's looking around and being like, whoa, I want that kind of praise. So they sit down and be still.
And that works. That works really well.
It works very, very well. So it's one of those things to where when people want attention, you have to be very careful on how you give them attention.
Yes.
And yeah, if you give them positive attention, more than likely they're going to continue to do positive actions. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that you can never raise your voice at them. Okay? Every now and then you got to tell them to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
I call it the big boy voice or your dad voice. Because, again, I've seen a lot of videos where people try to take a gentle approach and people just walk all over, and then all of a sudden someone said something sternly and they're like, ooh, and they fall in line.
Yep.
Now, you can't do that all the time because then they won't listen.
Right.
But when you reserve it appropriately, they're like, oh, he's speaking a lot louder. That's not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's interesting how this went from anxiety to more discipline.
Yeah. But
I
at the
think
they
at the
correlate
same time,
together.
they're correlated.
Yeah. So someone with anxiety is worried about what may happen, but if you already know what's going to happen, then what are we anxious about?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think the difference between like somebody that has true anxiety and somebody that just doesn't want to do something, or they may feel anxious and they just don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
Somebody with clinical anxiety knows what will happen, but their body still won't let them do it.
Yeah, there's a disconnect.
Yeah, to where the person that I'm thinking of, they came in one day and all of a sudden they just started crying.
Yeah. And
I was like, are you okay? They're like, yeah, it's just, it's really bad today. And I go, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, I don't know why I'm crying. I can't help it. And they literally are crying, talking to me, but yet they're not sad.
Right.
That's where it's like, oh, dang, that's a real thing. So, yeah, anxiety is a real thing, but I think clinical anxiety or being clinically diagnosed is overused. Okay? So, again, people out there, we're not saying that your anxiety is not real. It is real. But for most of you, it's not bad enough that you can't do something.
Right.
Okay? For those of you guys that have it bad enough that you can't do something, continue to just try to power through, ask for help. And when you don't want to come anyways. And even if it's just sitting in the corner and not really participating, don't let that anxiety be the one that's in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like going back to the reinforcing behavior. If we give in to the anxiety, then the anxiety wins. We don't want the anxiety to win. So be the winner. Don't let the anxiety be the winner. All right, moving on to the next question is, what is your favorite part about martial arts? Now, when I say favorite part about martial arts, like the aspects, like is it sparring? Is it forms? Is it grappling? Is it knife techniques? Is it punches? Is it kicks? So that's what I mean when I say favorite part, not like, oh, it makes me feel good or like I feel better afterwards, you know. But like, no, the aspect or what physically doing, what is your favorite part about martial arts?
Sparring.
Sparring?
Easy. Yep. Sparring is good because it's a sandbox, really. Like, you can mess up a whole bunch, and it's better you mess up. You try something here and mess it up, than try something out there and then maybe not show up anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
So I enjoy that. And also, like, I like to feel tough. Like, oh, I took a punch.
Yeah.
Oh, I delivered a punch.
No, it's good to feel that, and it's good to be able to know that you can take a punch, and good to know that you can give a punch too. Yeah, it's funny because for me it changes like all the time. It changes all the time because I'll go through phases. Okay,
it's a phase, Mom.
Yeah, kind of. Where all of a sudden it's like, man, for 6 months or a year or 2 years, it's like I'm all about doing this.
Oh wow!
Where I've gone through phases where it's like all I want to do is spar. And like I'll go through phases of like all I want to do is grapple. Then I'll go through phases of like all I want to do is weapons training. Then I'll go through phases of like, oh man, I really want to do forms. I want to get better at forms. So for me, it's really hard to say like what aspect is my favorite, because for me it should be what is my favorite right now. Because what my favorite is now may not be my favorite in a year. Okay. Just because I've been doing it for so long. So like sparring is always fun. Forms, I never used to like forms, but I've become more accustomed to liking forms and doing forms and appreciating forms. But I would probably say now, like I'm really into the, not necessarily defense, but like using a knife, edged weapons, stick
practical
work.
Self-defense.
Maybe you can call it practical self-defense, but like, being able to like grab a knife and use it just as deadly as a gun. And,
whoa. Okay.
Stuff like that, or like being able to go from like unarmed to armed relatively quickly, and stuff like that. So practical self-defense would probably be a good term, but I like using edged weapons. So, I like using firearms too. We talked about that last week. Firearms are fun, but there's some places you just can't go with firearms. Same time, there's some places you just can't go with knives either. But you can go to more places with knives.
It's easier to
than you can
carry
with
a knife than a gun.
Yeah, which is odd because knives can cause just as much damage as firearms. So, it's interesting. Now, without going too much on a tirade, it's like in the UK, you're not allowed to have firearms at all. Nobody can carry firearms. Even the cops don't carry firearms. It's weird. But their cases of like violent stabbings, it's through the roof. So just so you know, if people are wanting to do bad things, they will find bad things to do them with. So, but not trying to go on a tangent or anything like that. I personally like the edge weapons. I think they're fun. They're also very scary.
Yeah.
Just like with firearms, you need to know how to handle them. You need to know how to use them. So that's kind of where I'm at.
That's a much better answer than mine. So that was good.
No, sparring is the perfect answer. Because that's what you like to do right now.
Yeah,
Sparring's a lot of fun.
I should have thought a little bit deeper. I guess I'm just excited for sparring class. And I agree. I think that we, as people who have been in martial arts for a period of time, we get things that we might like. And then, like you said, we have seasons.
Yeah.
Now might be the season of me trying to figure out what works on the mat or with the gloves on. But then it's like, oh, well, now your forms are looking okay, but you can do better. So it's like, now I want to focus on forms. Come tournament time, it's the season of forms, maybe.
That's right.
So I think that's a good answer.
No, I agree. It's just one of those things where, man, you just, when you're on a certain kind of tangent or like you're like, this is all I want to do, just ride with it. Don't be like, oh, well, I've got to do this or I've got to do that. Yeah, you will eventually, but just have fun with where you're at right now, and just understand that the more attention you give one thing, that will get better and the other things will kind of go down. The goal is to, if it drops a little bit, it's still better than everybody else's.
Yes.
That's
needs to
the
be
goal.
floor.
So, all right, moving on to our third and final question is, what is the one aspect of martial arts do you hope all your students learn?
One aspect is just like the aspects before, or is any more of like
This would probably be more of like
the
behavioral or like
I would assume
not necessarily physical things.
Okay. Easily for me to say, I think, would be confidence.
Yeah.
I think anybody who does martial arts or any sort of physical thing, you build confidence that way. You don't build it by doing things behind a computer screen or whatnot. I think you have to be out there and you have to be working, because confidence isn't just mental, it's also physical.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good answer. Without trying to say the same thing, I would probably say, besides confidence, because everybody, you always want your students to be confident.
Absolutely.
So that's a really good answer. I would probably say respect.
Respect. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
so
a good
again,
one.
without like just picking one topic, but to give another aspect.
And they go hand in hand.
Yeah, they really do. Courage and respect go hand in hand. Okay. So it's like, we want to be able to know that if our students leave or if they stop training with us, or if they continue to train with us and they're out in the public, in the world, people will look at them and be like, gosh, they're really good people, or they're really good.
They carry
kids.
themselves well.
They carry themselves well. Man, they're very nice. Oh my gosh, they held the door open for that old lady. Or
Absolutely.
They helped somebody put their groceries
And both
away.
of those things, not to toot the theme here for the month, but both of those things make an impact.
Yep, they do make an impact.
If you have respect for yourself and others, that's a huge impact. If you carry yourself,
you even said a very key phrase: not only have respect for others, but respect yourself. A lot of times, and this is more. I'm speaking more to the men out there. A lot of times we put everything else ahead of ourselves. Okay. You have to respect yourself first before you can even think about respecting anybody else. Okay, it's the old proverb of, don't remove the speck out of someone else's eye when you got a plank in your own. Or if you've ever been on an airplane, what does it say when the oxygen masks come down?
put yours on
mask
first
on first before you help somebody else.
Someone else.
Same, that you have to remember that men do a very lousy job at that. Okay. Most men. Okay. They will put everybody else first. They'll put their job first. They'll put their wife first. They'll put their family first. They'll put their kids first. They'll put everything else first except themselves. Now, putting yourself first does not mean you're being selfish. But if you only put yourself first,
Then,
that is being selfish.
yep.
But if you put yourself first to make sure you're okay for others, that is the epitome of selflessness. Okay? So I would agree, make sure you respect yourself first. Then you can make sure you respect others. Because if you respect yourself, it's very easy to respect others. But if you don't respect yourself, then it's very difficult.
You're going to find yourself not respecting others.
Exactly.
Because
So
others won't respect you because you don't respect yourself.
because you're not giving them,
It's all connected.
you're not putting that out there. So I would agree. Courage is definitely a plus, and respect. For me, respect is a big one too. So, and that's one of the 7 rules of Bushido. One of the things we really try to profess to our students. But if there's any kind of questions or things you would like us to answer or talk about, feel free to either email us or give us a comment on YouTube or whatever platform or social media you guys follow us on. And moving on to the next section of the show. It is our fight scenes. This one's going to be an interesting one.
What?
Because
Is it 2 cars fighting?
No,
Oh.
that would be cool, but they would just run into each other, and
I mean, people pay to watch that.
that is true. It is called Demolition Derby, but no, it is not 2 cars, but it is 2 people
Oh, okay.
from popular video game franchises.
Oh,
We have Johnny Cage versus Guile from Street Fighter. Okay. So, this is a tough one because they're both, I think, equally matched. They're not in the realm of like supernatural or nothing, even though Guile does have that. What is it?
Spinning
Sonic
kicks.
Boom.
Yep, Sonic Boom, and Johnny Cage has his Nutcracker. And
He has his Nutcracker and his like sliding sidekick.
Yep.
So this one we're not going to do 3 rounds because I mean they're video games. So and they're like if we go Hollywood,
but both video games have 3 rounds.
This is true, but it's one of those things. If we put like them in the same scenario, it's like the same scenario. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if we put Johnny Cage into Street Fighter, it's
the same
as if we put Guile into
Did Street Fighter? I've only really played Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was more of a Street Fighter fan
Okay,
than
so
Mortal Kombat, but I have played both. Granted,
Okay.
I played like the old Mortal Kombats,
those are fine.
not the new ones.
The new ones were
Or I haven't really played the new Street Fighters either. So
that just gives you nightmares of just how gory it is now.
no, it's so complicated. I don't know what the hell to do.
It's like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
You need
There's
You need like another hand.
so many buttons. That's where you just smash them all together.
Yeah.
But same thing was kind of like Street Fighter was a lot easier. It was like punch, kick, down, high kick, low kick, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm very much the old school like.
And you have your
4-button
breaker
person.
bar and whatnot, and
Yeah.
so you have your powers and
Yeah.
I think
special moves.
special moves.
I just didn't knew how to do the
Your
Sonic Boom.
your counters, Sonic Boom. Okay.
Yeah. And his like backflip kick.
Yep.
Yeah. But who? Okay, so let's say. Well, we can put him in both realms,
Mm-hmm.
but we all know that if we put Johnny Cage into the Street Fighter realm, Guile's going to win,
Mm-hmm.
and if we put Guile into the Mortal Kombat realm, Johnny Cage is probably going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's like, okay, we already know those 2 scenarios.
Okay, so we're putting him in the final round.
We're putting
They both
him
have
in the
1 to
final
1.
round.
Final
They're
round.
both 1-1, throwing him in a cage, but this time no special nothings.
No special nothings.
So that's the like equalizer for the round.
So
3.
they don't have their powers.
So no Sonic Booms.
So it's just a soldier
Just a
versus an actor that does his own stunts.
Yeah. Well, he is a martial artist.
He's a martial artist actor.
He is a martial arts actor.
He's basically Jackie Chan.
Yeah. So I mean, he can fight,
Yep.
but he's not a soldier. Now,
Right.
granted, that doesn't mean soldiers can fight. For all the soldiers out there, no offense, you guys are all tough. We love you, but I have trained soldiers where I'm like, I hope you're not fighting in combat.
Oh, you're the accountant.
I hope you're in the office.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Man, that's
So me
tough.
personally, I'm just gonna go with like Guile
Uh-huh.
because I grew up with Street Fighter.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I think he's a little bit tougher. He's got the cool haircut.
It's got yeah.
He's very strong.
Mm-hmm.
He does have that discipline of being a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think because of all those factors and being in the military, you don't like to lose.
Mm-hmm.
He will use those factors to ultimately win out,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
How many movies has Street Fighter had?
3.
3. Okay, so they're
Maybe.
about the same. Because Mortal Kombat's had about 3.
Mortal Kombat's had 3. The first one, the Annihilation, and then the new one.
Yep, and I don't think Johnny Cage is in the newest one, but
No, he wasn't, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they hinted at the end of the movie
Yes.
that he was going to be in the second one.
somehow, yeah.
So,
if they're
now, Mortal Kombat does have like a little mini series,
yes,
the Mortal Kombat Legacy.
yes,
That's a pretty good show.
mm-hmm.
Street Fighter has their anime,
yes.
which the anime is freaking awesome.
I need to watch that.
Yeah, the anime is fantastic. So, and Guile's one of the main characters in that.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm going with Guile.
Okay,
I know you're going to go with Johnny
Cage.
because you're a Mortal Kombat fan.
I'm more Mortal Kombat. I'm more blood and gore and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Hey, that's fantastic. But
fine.
let us know who you guys got. If you got Johnny Cage or Guile. I like the flat top
That
blondie.
was a good one.
That was a good one.
Made
you think a little
Yeah.
bit because I could see it going either way.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on which franchise did you grow up with 1st. I played Street Fighter first, so I'm
Yep.
I'm gravitating towards Guile. So, all right, moving on to our final segment, the shout outs. All right, shout outs. Time for our shout outs. I'm going to shout out the person I talked about earlier, Khalil. His name's Khalil Williams. Lives in Atlanta. He's married. He's got 2 young kids, 2 beautiful kids. And hopefully he'll be having a new kidney here pretty soon. So,
awesome.
Khalil, stay strong, brother. And we're all praying for you.
Awesome. I'm going to shout out Miles from the little kids class.
Yeah.
Based on what we've talked about today,
he's definitely shown that.
he's the one that's like, I highlight Miles because of his good behavior, and the rest of the kids fall in line.
Miles is a great young man. So if you guys remember the Provosts, when they were on the show, that's their son. Mm-hmm. He is a wonderful young man. He works hard. He's got a great attitude. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a great shout out. So Miles, great job, buddy.
Good job, Miles.
We love having you in class, so keep up the good work. All right, moving on to the final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Any final thoughts for the day?
Have a great day. Honestly, this week has been quite a good week for me. Mm-hmm. And I know we're talking in the past, and when you're listening to this, things can happen, things can change, but all of it comes down to your attitude on things.
Absolutely.
It could be raining outside, and honestly, don't let that get you down. It could be a sunny day outside. It could be really hot.
Yep.
Have a great day. Enjoy the sun, you know? Just have a great day.
Kind of like what we talked about with the whole anxiety thing. You guys have to remember that ultimately you're in control of how you feel and how you act.
That's right.
Now, I know, again, I'm not saying all of us, but I would say 98% of us have the ability to control how we act and feel. Mm-hmm. There are a very small portion of the community that's not the case. Okay. But majority of us, we have the ability to, if we want to be happy, it's because we're happy.
That's right.
That took me a long time to figure out. And if I would have figured that out when I was a kid, man, I think things would have been drastically different growing up to being an adult. Okay? Because for the longest time, I would always use factors or things on why I was happy or sad. Okay? Meaning like, oh, this happened, therefore I'm happy.
Right.
Or, oh, this happened, therefore I'm sad. Okay? No. Good things and bad things will happen to us all the time.
Yep.
Okay? You can be sad if something bad or good happens to you, and you can be happy if something bad happens to you.
That's right.
It's all in what you, the individual, personally wants to do. Mm-hmm. So if something bad happens to you and you're sad, understand that you're choosing to be sad. Now, that does not mean that something sad has happened.
Right.
Okay? Like losing a loved one. That is a very sad thing. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's sad for us, not sad for them. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we can choose to be happy. Be like, oh man, I'm happy that they're in a better place, but I'm sad. I'm sad because I'm going to miss them.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think it comes down to what our attitude is. Now, there's many people that will try to just always be happy or fake it. Mm-hmm. And in a way that helps, but you're also denying yourself to feel it.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily true. So if like you said, it's up to how we make things. Mm-hmm. And good things will happen to people who are happy, and good things will happen to people who are sad, and sad things will happen to people who are happy, and all.
Yeah. And that's not to say that every now and then you need a good cry.
That's right.
Like all of us need a good cry.
That's right.
Or we sometimes we let our emotions take control of us. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're all human. We all make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Okay, and us by saying you're in control, you are, but know that that's hard to do. Mm-hmm. Okay, so by saying, hey, if something bad happens to you, you can still be happy. Mm-hmm. That's something that takes practice. Okay, but at the same time, it is like a light switch. So you can turn it on and off when you want. again, that being said, that's not the easiest thing to do sometimes. Sometimes the easiest thing to do is to just let ourselves be overcome by whatever it is. That's the easiest thing to do. Okay.
I mean, this week I had someone potentially come to buy a dog. And it didn't go through.
Yeah.
And I did my best to not let it get me down, but it still stung.
Yeah, it sucks.
Because if I felt like they didn't want the dog based on me, I didn't sell the dog. I didn't sell the dog well enough, or I didn't do
you
what
didn't do something.
the dog. Yeah. But the very next day, I sold that same dog to someone who I think is a better fit.
Yeah.
And the dog was the dog.
Yeah. The dog didn't change.
Dog didn't really change. Granted, my approach changed a little bit based on what I learned, but I wasn't the end of the world. I felt like I'm never gonna get rid of this dog. I'm gonna have to take this dog to the pound.
Yeah.
But things happen just like that
fast.
to us.
Yeah.
And don't let one thing affect the next thing.
Absolutely. So when we're dealing with, things that make us anxious, know that you're in control of that. Okay. So basically, the final thoughts is understand your emotions, but don't be controlled by them. Okay. Understand that sadness is a thing, and you can be sad, and it's okay to be sad, but that doesn't mean you need to let sadness control you. Same thing with happiness. Happiness is a thing. We love being happy. We always want to try to be happy, but every now and then, you need to keep that under wraps. It's like, this is not a time to be overly happy. We need to be a little bit more serious.
Keep your happiness to yourself.
Yeah, keep your happiness to yourself. I don't care if it's beaming out your asshole. Just keep it to yourself. Okay. So remember, when we're in control of how we feel and how we think. That being said, that's not always the easiest thing to do.
That's right.
So that being said, be happy because you want to be. If you're sad, it's because you want to be. And whatever it is that you choose to be, go make an impact in somebody else's life today. Okay. And one of the things that I was talking with Khalil about, and we talked about this last night, is when things aren't going good, find one good thing that happened and latch onto it. Like it's that ember in a fire. Okay.
Yeah.
All you need is a small ember and you can start a huge fire. Okay. It's that one little spark
match will burn down a whole forest.
Yep. So one good thing can snowball and make a huge difference. Okay. So I encourage everybody to be that one good thing in someone else's life. Like the making an impact. You making an impact on someone else could be that one thing that day that was good for them. Okay. So be that one good thing for someone else. And in turn, that'll make you feel better too. I promise. So have a great week, everybody. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. We're trying to grow the show as much as possible so we can try to make an impact on as many people as we can.
That's right.
Okay. We will have a special co-host next episode. I don't even know who it is, so I'm excited to see who it is. And make sure you stay tuned to see who it's going to be. So have a great day, everybody. Go make an impact, and we'll see you next week.
Kick it with us next week. Bye, everyone.